Hit the button. There it is. We're live. Howdy, everybody. Steve here. I'm doing the thing like we always do, and you guys voted. You said it. We heard you. You want to do more LoRa, so we're doing more LoRa. We want to get to the end of this thing and at least get one of these sensors telling me that it's light or dark outside, or something along those lines.
Or if your plants are moist. Yeah.
Yes.
At
Yeah.
least.
Turn the lights on. Turn the lights off. You know.
Right.
Are my grow lights working? Is my grow growing?
Right.
Is my herb herbing? Whatever it is that you are growing, we know what you're going to grow. We know what this is for, people. So
Right.
some disclosure, some behind the scenes stuff. I reached out to Elecrow, the company that makes this stuff, and I basically said, your documentation stinks. It stinks, it stinks, it stinks. Because we're trying to follow through and like it doesn't line up and we don't know where to go and we're just kind of winging it. And that's why it's taken us so long to get to the other end of this, is because we're having to kind of, figure it out old school style, which is cool. I enjoy it, but at the same time, I don't think anybody else wants to go through this kind of headache like we do here on Nuggets. So they said they fixed the documentation. We haven't looked. We're going to have our first peek at it tonight.
Oh boy.
Yeah. So we got some quick housekeeping. Hayden, 2 seconds into a stream and moist has already been said.
That's right.
It is mud season. It is.
Thank you, Hayden.
Right. Take that one off the screen, put this screen on. This is the Raspberry Pi that we've been playing with. I'm going to run a command called lsusb, ls for list stuff, and the stuff I want listed is USB stuff. And what I'm hoping to see is this line right here that says Raspberry Pi Pico Arduino, because that is the little controller thing, the dingus, to borrow Jim's word.
The dingus.
And from what I understand, this board right here, this silver colored thing, is like an ESP32 or something, and then this little black thing down here is the Raspberry Pi Pico chip. So there's a microcontroller and then another microcontroller. So this thing is microcontroller dense, but I could be wrong about that. Mostly because I'm using their documentation to figure out what is right and what is wrong.
Hail Mary,
Where
yeah.
we last left is I have the temperature sensor thing, which is this thing here, plugged into the board that's plugged into the Pi that's on the screen. We were trying to get this software here to compile. Let me connect the board. Somewhere in here I have to tell it the port. Okay, it's got the right port, board info. Tells me it is a Raspberry Pi Pico, and it's got a vid and a PID and a serial number. That all looks good. So let's upload this, which is going to compile it. We see the compiling down here in the bottom corner. James wants to know if we should take a shot every time dingus is said. And I think the answer is yes, you should.
Right. You'll be hammered by the time the show's over. James, thank you for the super chat. Well, no, thank you for being a member for 3 months.
Yes, the membership milestone.
That's like an extended super chat. Thanks, James.
Yes. That is one of your membership benefits, is the ability to do one free super chat per month. So it still says it's compiling. Oh, so Frank is right. If you say dingai, meaning more than one dingus, that means you have to take more than one shot.
Good point. Doc.
Doc Brad. Wow. The pressure is on. Oh,
Man,
my.
Now we cannot let the doc down. Heck no. Doc, thank you very much.
So here's the interesting thing, Doc. Success is that we get to the end of the show and all had a good time. So I think that that's a good bet. I don't know. I mean, it depends on your definition of success. Success is not guaranteed. And it said that it's done uploading. Let's see. Andy, thank you very much, Andy. Always great content. Andy, you are always a brother. I appreciate it. I'm glad to have you in the chat.
Andy Cowley is legend. Legend.
Glenn's saying he doesn't know what he would do if he had a mesh-tastic dingus. Glenn, get 2 of those, and then you can talk to yourself.
Right? At the speed of light.
There probably isn't another person in the area that has one. Let's see.
Right. Yeah,
And
there
that's what I've
was.
been running into.
Didn't you publish them? Somebody put a map. Somebody
Don.
put a map. Maybe it was Don in the chat, in Discord or something. And I looked at it, and there's a lot of dead space on that Meshtastic map. And of course, I live in the middle of dead space, so.
Okay, that is very hard to read. But it's saying failed to read temperature. There we go. I increased the size. Failed to read from DHT.
Okay, so you either have it wired backwards,
Or I'm not picking the right port.
you're not picking the right port, because it sees the code is right because it's trying to read a DHT sensor, but hey,
So it
Bill.
says we are connected to DHT pin 2 on the second line. And it says we are DHT 11, which is a good enough guess. Connect pin 1 on the left of the sensor to 5 volts, pin 2 of the sensor to whatever your DHT pin is, pin 4. Can I go back far enough in this serial monitor to see the very first line? No, because it refreshes.
Because
Turn
it
off the
keeps
auto
refreshing.
scroll.
Yeah. So Chris Bricker has said, why don't you have ChatGPT write a temp sensor program? And Joe Bowman has said he can help with this godforsaken, I mean this dingus. And he loves to do mesh stuff, but he doesn't know Linux stuff or Pi stuff. Wish it had a Windows app. Yeah, the problem is what we've all got is, at this point, is Pi and Linux. A lot of this stuff will work with Windows, but I think Steve has a allergy to Windows.
I do. I am extremely allergic to Windows.
Right.
However, when you get into the Arduino IDE, which is this program that I'm running on the Raspberry Pi, it's the exact same program. And
Yeah.
you would say COM1, and I would say /dev/tty USB number. And
Yep.
that's the only difference. And I cannot get back far enough in this scrolling time zone thing because it just went crazy scrolling off the screen.
So stop it. I believe you can stop it and then restart it and kill it again before the interesting stuff scrolls off the screen. You may have to just recompile it to make it restart. I don't remember. I haven't played with Arduino in a minute.
So we hit the upload button, and I turned off auto scroll. So let's see what kind of magic happens.
Okay, so you see your little scroll button over there on the right side. You're going to need to manually scroll now.
And it's filling up even though I'm not auto scrolling. You can see the slider moving. I'm not moving it.
Oh, okay. It's just like a car show. Nobody's touching the buttons and it's doing things.
Right? Okay. So if is not a number T and is not a number H, print line failed to read from DHT. So that's where we're hitting in the code. DHT.read humidity, DHT.read temperature. And as far as
what is the
ports,
sensor code for the temperature sensor?
So we have this thing on the, well, Chris, it's on the screen, but Jim has it, and I did not put it in the show notes. So we'll have to get that into the chat for you. I have this plugged into the I2C port, and I probably need to plug it into the UART port. And that's the other thing, is the documentation didn't say which port to plug this thing into.
Yeah, change it out to UART and see what that does. Has that thing also got a SPI port on it? I don't think it's SPI. I think it's UART. I've done this. I don't remember.
I have A1, A0, D0, D1, so analog and digital. Then I have UART and I2C. Or I2C, depending on your vernacular. Okay, so let's clear the output. Let's re-upload, and let's see what happens.
Oh, easy there. Settle down. I'm getting all flustered over here.
Yeah, it's getting hot in here. Error opening serial port. I didn't change the serial port. It says failed to open dev tty acm 0, which is, I didn't change that, I didn't think. All right, let's try it again.
So Bill says he has his LoRa router on the Things network, his sensor using that gateway to report, but it's not sending the data. Either that or I'm not translating it properly once it gets there. And then he says, I think I'm missing code. The sensor tells me the data on serial, but I'm not sure it's getting all the way to the internet console. Glenn,
Okay.
you know what I heard in my head when you said that, right?
Right.
A dingo ate me dingus. To paraphrase.
Which is what Ted gotcha.
Ted picked it up. I mean, when the Aussie guy throws out the dingo line, you know, immediately that's what my brain goes to. A dingo ate me baby.
So I need to go into the previous live stream and copy out the links and put them into the current live stream because I forgot to do that.
Yeah, I don't know what they are, where you found the code. Could we just look up DHT11 sample code?
Probably.
Let's see what I can find.
All right, the show notes have been updated. If you refresh your show, it should bring you to the current live timestamp, and then in your description, you'll have the information that you need.
Do you have a 3-pin or a 4-pin?
I have a 4-pin.
Okay. So let me share this out.
Well, let's put it to you this way. I have ground, VCC, NC, and signal. So technically, I have 3 pins.
Yeah.
Even though there's 4 wires and 4 pins.
Let's share this out. So is that readable enough for everybody? Do I need to embiggen it?
It doesn't seem to embiggen properly. There we go. That's weird. That's very weird.
I think it's the way the web page is done. So let's see. Here we go. There's 3 pins, and if yours has 4 pins, then you need to build this circuit after the sensor. They are showing a resistor in there, so I assume your connection to that sensor.
It has resistors on it. It has a resistor and a capacitor.
So that's a digital input according to this, because that is going to D6 on the Uno. Let's see.
Garth, I've been here the entire time and my head hurts. It's okay. This is what happens.
So here is the sample code for reading the DHT11. And do you have that library included, that header file?
Yes.
Okay. It was, that's like asking an IT guy, have you turned it on? I mean,
I have DHT.H, not DHT11.H, which is part of the other problem, is we didn't know which DHT to go, so we just picked the DHT library from Adafruit because we like Adafruit.
All right. I don't know if one is a superset of the other or not. I would just throw in DHT11 and see what happens.
I think, and that's all lowercase?
Yeah.
Okay. Comment that out.
I'm going to post this link in the chat for everybody, and then I'll throw it in our private chat for your copying pleasure. That is the code we're looking at, boys and girls. Probably just boys.
That's very close to the code that I have.
Yeah, it's pretty standard for one of those kind of sensors. There's not much difference in any of it.
Okay, so I do not have the DHT11 library, and I got to remember how to add that library.
That's going to be in the
Manage libraries.
Yeah. And then you can search for it. And then all their calls are to the DHT11 function or whatever that's called in
So I'll have to update the code to that.
Sudo C.
I guess we don't need to see the managed libraries. I think it's still working. There it is.
Let me
share my screen out instead.
Let me reshare you, yeah. Doc, I'll holler at you after the show. Did you find it? Is it still thinking?
It finally finished downloading the library list. DHT11. Okay.
Garth, how's it going? So Casey's saying he has the B-Team Supreme Meshtastic unit.
Nice.
So this is not exactly Meshtastic, though, is it? Meshtastic is a different thing? Is it the same protocol?
Meshtastic is a similar protocol on a similar band. I think it's still LoRa, L-O-R-A, LoRa, long range, but it's not LoRaWAN. So it's a different language on the same hardware.
Okay.
So it's like running, IPX over Ethernet versus running TCP/IP over Ethernet.
Bless your heart, it's your old age jokes. Sadly, I get that.
Yeah, but I think most of the chat does too.
But my one redeeming feature is I never had to work on Novell, ever. So there's that.
Oh, I am a certified Novell architect.
3+ share and 3+ open, son.
Yeah. I even
Back
did
when
Banyan
Microsoft
Vines
and IBM
in the Navy.
loved each other. Huh?
I did Banyan Vines for the Marines at a Navy base, so the Marines could get onto the Navy server, so they could all play Doom cooperatively. All right, it now is installed with DHT11, and it's probably better if we don't do it in this code. Let me open up another one.
Yeah.
File, new.
And I sent you that link in the private chat if you want to just copy their code and see if we can run that.
Really? Copy.
Bill, that is an advanced 3 or 4 level question. So maybe somebody in the chat can answer it, but I certainly can't. If the local sensor senses and reports the data properly, how do I get the code or which Arduino code is needed to actually send the data?
Yeah, we started going down that path a couple of weeks ago and never finished because we came back around to this path here instead.
Yeah.
Let's call this DHT. Where am I? Why are you not typing in the right window? DHT11.
Dan said the DHT22 seems to be the 4-pin. Yeah, I think that's a newer one. The 11 is one of the original ones that's come out when they dropped the Arduino originally.
Okay, so I installed the wrong DHT11 library.
This one's the wrong DHT11 library?
Not the code on the screen. The library that I installed that the code on the screen is calling for is not a match.
Okay. Oh, is that what that orange message is?
It says DHT11.h, no such file or directory, because I installed capital D, capital H, capital T 11 instead of lowercase DHT11.
Ah.
And there is the board manager.
Guys, back in the year of our Lord 1990, I worked for the state of Alabama. And when the building was built in around 88 or 89, they put in premises wiring, which is Cat 3 wiring back then. So my boss, who fancied himself smarter than he actually was by a factor of about 20, found these things. We had all 3Com crap. And he found these things called 3Com pair tamers. Some of you may have heard of them.
Jeez.
And so they would take a twisted pair connection, and it was a Balun, and take it to a BNC. So then you could run Ethernet over twisted pair. It was the most kludged together, hot mess of weird crap. And then on top of that, 3Com said if you use their gear, the IEEE spec for thin net, well, what was that, 10 base 2, I think, 10 base 5, 10 base 2 was, 600 meters, but if you used all 3Com gear, you could actually go 900 meters. It was just some weird stuff. And that was all well and fine until you put anything on the network that wasn't 3Com, and then stuff went sideways. Yeah, no, LC, it wasn't 10 base T. This was 10 base 2. This was thin net coax.
Yeah.
Not RJ45.
No, RG58?
I think RG58AU, maybe?
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah. Pair tamers. Yeah.
I am not seeing lowercase DHT 11.
Some of
I
the
see
chat knows
DHT
about those
11
things.
ESP8266 examples. I see capital DHT 11, which I have installed.
As far as I knew, there's basically only one DHT11 library. I'm not a huge programmer.
Well, there's the library, and then there's a bunch of people that copied it and put their name on it, is what I'm seeing.
Yeah, I was going to say there's some duplicates or whatever you want to call them.
DHT11 does not name a type. Yep, this is the wrong direction. Okay.
Glenn, yes, there is. Both will do gigabit Ethernet. The difference is Cat 6 will do gigabit Ethernet. Farther, I don't remember. It's a distance thing or something like that. They both will do gig. I have 5E in the house, and I have a complete gig network. Better. It's better. Chris is saying just download the DLT-H file into the appropriate folder or rename it in the code.
I renamed it in the code, and then I got to the next line that had an error message.
I'm not a programmer. I don't really know where we're at here.
Well, what we can do is we can go all the way down the path of rewriting this code, or what I'm doing on my computer is looking up the documentation that they said that they updated.
See, I thought you were waiting for me to say something sage about how to fix that code, because I was like, don't hold your breath.
Do you still have your crickets sound effect?
I do.
There it is. Yeah, wow. All right, let's find the sensor. Temperature and humidity sensor. Let me bring this up on Chrome so we can all stare at it together.
Glenn, you can mix and match your Cat 5 and Cat 6, or 5E if you have it. I would do your longer runs in Cat 6. Any short runs, do them in 5E. That being said, everything in the house is 5E, even the long runs, because I was too cheap at the time to buy Cat 6.
Okay, so this is the sensor in question.
Yep.
And you can see it's got 4 wires, but then again, if you look at the 4 wires, ground, VCC, no connect, and signal.
Mm-hmm.
And there's another picture of it in case the first three pictures weren't enough for you. And there's a fourth picture as well. You know, absolutely no difference. Let's see.
A backup picture.
Temperature and humidity sensor program.
There we go.
Ah, yeah, so that's what we did before. And they spelled humidity wrong? Humid DIY. Humidi. I don't know how to pronounce that. Copy. And let's go over here. Yeah, so there's the zip file. Paste that link. Really? That is not the copy that I wanted. Copy link address. All right, so, no, okay, hold on. Let me share that screen out again. Present, stop, present, share, window. That one.
Chris said he go to the wiki. The wiki has more documentation.
Yeah. You can do that if you like while I'm doing this. Because this is, so there's the wiki documentation for the module node board, and then this is the sensor that's plugged into the module itself. Okay, let's close
So
that.
that's that Crowtail DHT.
Dan's asking where is it plugged into. Right now it's plugged into UART, but it actually does make sense to plug it into D1 now that we know that it is a digital sensor.
Yeah, it's a digital sensor.
So I will work on rearranging that while the code itself is compiling. And I'm going to plug it into D1, which would be the second digital port, because that's how computer numbering works. Done uploading tools.
Now this
Serial
code has a
monitor.
type definition.
Oh,
You figured
it
it out.
works! Yeah, it was D1. Thank
Yeah,
you, Dan.
okay.
So
I
it is
told you that.
25
I said
degrees
it was
Celsius in
digital.
here. Yes,
That's hot.
it is hot. But that's why I
Put
take
your
my jacket
hand,
off.
change the temperature. Put your hand on that, and let's kind of see a data change.
All right, I am now holding
Oh
on to it.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's
It's
changing your minute.
25.20. Yep, and the humidity went down. 25.70. Look how hot I am. 26.
Easy.
No, no, I mean, we've got the proof right here.
Yeah. There. Well, that's true.
Yeah, I am in
There you
front of a
go.
fireplace. The humidity reads fast. The temperature takes a while. Okay, so that was the issue. It was plugged into the wrong port, but we didn't see any documentation. Which screen are you sharing out, Jim?
I hit Crowtail temperature DHT 11, and it took me to this page
There's a board for you. Jeez.
right here, which is a wiki. I don't know if this is the one that they were talking about, but it gave the specs, and then they specifically say D5 of the Crowtail base shield. So this is good documentation here, because that's where you connected it was D5. Oh, you don't have this dingus though. You don't have this base shield.
No, I have a different version.
Yeah.
I have
Okay.
something similar. It just doesn't have the same number of ports. So I've
But
got
it's
two
my
digital
point.
ports, two analog ports, a UART and
Yeah.
a I2C.
And then
And
they have a sample sketch, and again, it's on pin 5, which is going to be digital. So we got it figured out. And it's a very slow sensor.
yeah, it is. So Lon is asking, can I export the temperature readings into something like CSV format? I can now take these readings and do whatever I would like with them, including somehow getting them across the wire, across the airwaves to the other part of it,
Yeah.
the other part of the world.
And Chris Bricker has given you an important mod that you need to do right now to make this work
Convert C
better.
to F. Yes, let's do that.
You know, we mess with metric a lot on here, especially ape. Not on this show necessarily, but and we talk about freedom units. I have no problem with metric, and I can mostly convert it roughly in my head and close enough for government work. Temperature is the one that I don't. It's because it's like weird formula conversions for temperatures. I know that 37 is body temperature, 22 is a nice day, and 0 means you'll have ice cubes if you drop water on the ground outside. That covers all my references for centigrade.
All right, I've now converted it to convert C to F is not declared in this scope. Chris, convert C to F will change the temp to freedom units. Only if we knew what convert C to F was. So that comes from another library that we don't have, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Should convert to kelvins. Yeah, isn't that just changing it from the letter C to the letter K?
Yeah, pretty much. That's exactly right. And Frank, thank you. I just said that 32 is 0. I already knew that. And you don't just count up and down from there.
No, it's like 5/9 or something. It's a really weird conversion.
Well, one way there's 5/9 involved, and the other way there's 9/5, and you add 32 and multiply or divide by 5/9 or 9/5 or something stupid.
Okay, I've converted it to Kelvin. It's
There
in
you
the
go.
header. What's in the header? What's in the header? There it is. Now it's reading Kelvin. Okay.
I also know that at minus 40, Fahrenheit and centigrade converge with each other.
Ah, that's why DHT converts C to F.
Don said the declaration is in the header as well.
Yeah, I didn't
I don't
open
know
up the
what
header to read it. So
I didn't
yes,
know what
perfect.
crazy pants thing he was saying. Him or Chris.
Chris wasn't being specific enough, and I was calling Chris out like all good hams should when someone says something that makes perfect logical sense but needs just a little teeny tiny bit of interpretation. Really? This terminal is running so slow for some reason.
Yeah, Chris has shared the ridiculous formula with us. Fahrenheit minus 32 times 5/9 yields the Celsius value. Ron may be closer to the truth. Divide 5/9 divided times pi divided by the speed of an unladen sparrow.
Right.
Apparently, I've started some sort of flame war in the chat. There's a lot of going back and forth about Fahrenheit and Celsius.
And we're
What is
doing
it
that
telling
problem
you
again.
there?
It's telling me that it can't read the Raspberry Pi Pico board. All right, let's save and exit.
Chris Bricker, who is probably a prophet, has said,
Right.
power cycle the biznatch.
I have a feeling I put the 32-bit version of Pi OS on this thing instead of the 64-bit version.
Mm.
Heh, that didn't do the conversion either, but it didn't complain.
Yeah.
Why is that button yellow?
Hey, Izzo. What's up, buddy?
There it is. Transmit G'day World. We're watching software compile again.
It's our jam, buddy.
It's doing it. Tons of errors. Why are you having trouble compiling for Raspberry Pi Pico? Yeah, that's fine. We need some background music. The silence is deafening.
I'm on it. I'm on it.
Some compiling music.
Compiling music.
Okay, you found a board. Let's do this. Office chair jousting. We could do that if we were in the same office. Did you change the music?
Yeah, this is
Finding
night
your
driving.
This would put me to sleep while I was driving at night.
Yeah.
And it compiled fine this time. 2 reboots is what it requires.
Updates available.
Yeah, we can't update because it said specifically to use the older versions.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah.
Okay. So even after that, the variable did not convert properly. We change that code a little bit differently. dht.convert C to F. Yep, that's what I just did, Chris. If I got the syntax right. Of course, if it complains that I got the syntax wrong, I don't know if it's going to be me or Arduino. There we go. That's it. It's working now.
Sweet.
73.4.
Thank God.
Okay. So I'm going to remove that, and I need to share out the other screen instead. Because now we have this part here done. Wiki link.
Yeah, that's the page that I have.
Yeah. But that's only showing you how to get it read by the USB serial port, which is not the next mission. So the next mission is the node module board.
Chris Bricker, thank you. Appreciate it. Now we are going to snatch victory from the jaws of defeat, but thank you.
We're going to snatch defeat from the jaws of victory?
Yeah, that.
Every
He's
silver
always
lining.
asking for Captain Tennille and
Right.
ABBA.
Okay, so now we need to take our success and stack forward to failure, where we belong. Failure is more our style here.
Failure is always an option. Lou was talking about the expedition to Vanuatu, about 5K. I don't think that
Nice.
covers your food. That might cover the boat trip. It would be an interesting place to go because it's one of those places that most of us will never be in our lives. But I also feel that way about Scotland, and it's closer and they have heating and air conditioning. So
this is still information about getting the data, but it's not information about getting the data and then shoving it out across the LoRaWAN.
Whoa, whoa, whoa! What's that? Oh, that's okay. Never mind. Keep going. That's between
That's
the
serial
boards.
console. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw communication. I got all excited.
Okay, so all they're doing in this program here is serial 1 writing what serial read. So this is basically a gateway. If serial available, serial 1 write, serial read. If serial 1 available, serial write, serial 1 read. So this is sending data back and forth between the two serial ports,
Between the two serial ports, yeah.
the RP2040 and the RA08H. And I'm assuming the RA08H is the LoRaWAN module.
Stand by. I believe you're right.
And we did get this far last time to where we were sending the AT/DT commands or whatever.
Yep, that is the LoRa. I can't say that. The LoRaWAN module. Correct. So let me share that.
What are you sharing?
I've got the LoRaWAN module ready whenever you want it.
Okay. The RA08H.INO sample program. Yep, that looks exactly like what it does. Okay, let me share out the Arduino screen again. Because somehow this is supposed to be magical. It doesn't look like it's going to do anything magical, but this is what they say in the instructions. They say run this program, which is just a serial bidirectional repeater.
And you've got the 08 board connected?
Yeah, and
Okay.
I think I just screwed it up.
Uh-uh.
Well, what I did was I uploaded this to the Raspberry Pi Pico microcontroller. So we should have just lost our serial code, which we did. So let me fix that. This is very hard to keep track of.
Yes.
What in the hell?
Exactly. Okay, and once it's finished writing, it should instantly start telling us the temperature and humidity again. Ta-da! Okay, we've got that working.
What was the orange message?
Error opening serial port dev tty ACM0, which the way that this thing writes code to the Raspberry Pi Pico is it treats it like it's a USB flash drive.
That's why you keep getting that media message popping up?
Yeah, telling me that I've removed media improperly, which
Right.
I personally didn't do. Okay, so now I need to go over here and I need to change boards, which I did not do.
Oh, that's why. Okay. Yeah, now I'm with you what you did. Gotcha.
But I don't remember how to do the RA08 board.
Uh,
Really? Stop moving. That is not the button I pushed. I talk to the computer all the time, like it actually listens. Click the button. Click the button. I hear you scrolling.
yeah. I think I can go into silent mode. Nope.
I'm not complaining. Scroll away.
There it is.
Into the night.
There's the stealth roller button. I knew this mouse had one. I'm on the RA08H page. And this is the Earl Philhauer Arduino package, RP2040. And then you want to select the Uno. And once you've selected the Raspberry Pi Pico 2040 and installed it, we've done this. Yeah, connect the LoRa board to the computer via Type-C USB cable. When the development board is connected, RPI RP2 USB virtual U disk will appear.
Yeah, that's still the Pi Pico part.
Here you need to burn a sample code in the opened Arduino IDE to convert the RPI RP2 USB U disk into a COM port. The sample code path is shown in the figure
Oh,
below.
crap, I remember that.
Yeah. I knew there was some other complicated ass step we had to do.
So, okay. Hold on a second. Let me get back over here. So, here's where this gets weird. This is a single board that, again, has those two chips on it. The silver one is the RA08H, RA
Yeah.
whatever that is called, and then
Yeah,
this
that's
little
it.
tiny black one here is the Raspberry Pi Pico. The way that this thing is connected through the USB port is to the Raspberry Pi Pico, and then the Raspberry Pi Pico is connected to the RA08. So what I need to do, this is going to be a pain, like I should draw this out in a diagram probably. I need to convert this into a serial port, this Raspberry Pi Pico chip, so that
Yep.
I can then talk from here through here to there. Ta-da.
That's what that serial read, serial write code is
And
going to be
then
doing.
program this so that it will interact with the wireless antenna
Right.
communications device, and then go back and program this so it will interact with the temperature sensor device, I believe. That's our mission. This is kind of a pain. Okay, so let's do what they say, because they were right, even though they didn't really give enough documentation. So it's like using a repeater on a ham radio 2-meter signal. I need to talk to the repeater so the repeater can talk to Jim.
The Pico is basically just a flash drive. He has a macro pad from Adafruit that he uses all the time, but he flashed Circuit Python on, and it's better to program in a real IDE. I feel that changing development environments at this point would be just asking for the gods of shit happens to smite us. Unless Steve knows more about that than I do, because I know nothing. So
Yeah, we haven't gotten through the end of the documentation that we have yet.
yeah.
Okay, we got it. It did the thing. All right, so after the
Perfect.
program is successfully loaded, so I'm going to share your screen out, Jim.
Yep.
Scroll down to step 4.2.
Well, I've gotten to sample programs.
1.2, 1.3, keep going. Three, 3, 4, 1. Okay, there's the program that we copied, which is the serial repeater. This is 4.2. This is entering in the command. After the program is successfully uploaded, open the serial monitor and send the AT. AT stands for attention. AT plus CGSN question mark to the RA_08H. And then you see they had the little window there where you type it into the serial monitor, which is this part right here. And so I did that. All right, let's go back to Jim's screen and scroll down one more time, 4.3, I guess. Yeah, so after sending the command, if the monitor can display the returned CGSN equals serial number OK, the value returned is different because it's a different serial number per device.
Right.
Proves that you can send AT commands. Okay, so now let me go back to mine, and I sent that command, and here is the response.
So that's perfect.
Yep, so I got back the serial number of the device. So we're now repeating through the Raspberry Pi Pico to the RA08H. Yes, AT commands come from the Hayes modem command set. Okay.
Yeah, which is from like the late 70s, early 80s. And then every modem manufacturer on the planet implemented that command set. They probably licensed it from Hayes. You were the schnizzle if you had a real Hayes modem until USR came out with the big black 9600 modems of doom.
Okay, so we finished out the, this is where, wow, really? Present, stop, present, share. I realize you're sharing the same screen. However, it's easier for me to scroll my screen than it is for me to scroll your screen. Okay, so now we have that.
Need.
Yeah,
That's fine.
They want us to do this transparent transmission application, and we're supposed to connect leads to sockets on the, to through holes on the circuit board. Why? That seems like a bad design. Prepare the transparent firmware, which looks like a Windows program, by the way, and use the firmware download tool to download the firmware. After connecting the wires according to the above instructions, unplug the RST pin on the module, open the firmware burning tool, select firmware to be burned, click erase all, clear the original firmware in the module, and erase. After success, click start to burn the new firmware. I don't even know why I want to burn firmware. Download the program for the two modules separately to realize the transparent transmission function. And then that's the end of the documentation anyway.
Documentation. What is that LoRa node board code.
This 5.3?
No,
This is
down
the
there at the
serial
bottom.
repeater code. This,
The resources.
oh, I see it. It's a zip file.
Hey, Jacob. Jacob, it vexes me, son. It vexes me.
So inside of that zip file that they want you to download, they have the switch light example, they have the ultrasonic ranging example, they have the serial monitor example, and the LED on a switch example, which is all the code that was on this page.
Okay. There was
But
another
none of it,
link. There's another link below that too, so I don't know what.
node board Eagle. So that's going to be the PCB schematic from Eagle
Okay.
Design,
Okay.
is my guess on that. But we have those pictures up above anyway. Yeah, the transparent transmission application, the Tremo programmer. Yeah, I don't have these files that they're talking about, and they're not in those attached files. So they did not update this documentation. I get the impression that the developer of this entire system just went, yep, this is as far as I can get, ship it. Okay. LoRa, so easy, even a ham can do it. Yes. So this is the way that a lot of stuff in ham radio is. It's just like exceedingly difficult for no apparent reason. It wasn't part of the sprint deliverable. Ken, I know where you work. Yeah. Huh. And we haven't even used the purple board yet.
Oh my lord! Now, what is that one? Is that the Meshtastic board?
No, this is the receiver to this thing's transmitter.
Okay. Okay.
So this I'd put out in my grow house, in my grow tent, and this I would
For
put
your.
back on my desk to receive all the information from across the room.
Okay. So that. Yeah. Okay. So the one goes with your violets, and the other one at the
Yeah,
computer.
and this thing has a 915 megahertz antenna, and it also has a GPS antenna.
Okay.
So there's like a lot of stuff that you can do with it. Well, a lot of stuff you're supposed to be able to do with it, but if there's nothing that's receiving it,
Wow.
this show should be called Today in Radio Beta Testing. Yes, yes, we call it real-time ham radio.
I think this might have surpassed D-Star as a pain in the ass.
I have my D-Star radio right here. If y'all want to like
Oh, we can
jump
get our
back into
D-Star
that.
on. We can get our D-Star on.
Eh,
I ain't scared. I ain't scared of D-Star. I mean, half that show was us banging against the wrong server that wasn't even active anymore.
yes.
Because hams keep their GeoCities web pages so updated with current information.
Don, I say the same thing. Like you're like I talk to my kids about this. You're my favorite daughter in the room right now.
Leah's like, no D-Star, no D-Star.
What a mess.
I potentially was talking with, well, I was talking with Steve about a potential topic before the show.
Just take the win. Thank you, Chris.
But I'm afraid that it would be a rat hole that none of us would escape from.
Right? We did open GD77, and I'm currently doing a couple of open GD77 videos on my channel as static drops because Don, N5SKT, sent in a Retevis RT90. Go ahead.
Keep going. No, I have news. I've been meaning to tell you. You don't know this news. This will.
Okay, that was actually the end of it. I was just saying I'm doing it. I just need to get back into doing it.
One of our viewers is sending you and I 2 M17 boards that have serial connections on them
I know that viewer.
for us to do stuff with. And I've got to get with him later and swap addresses. So you need to make sure I know what of your 97 locations to ship it to.
Okay, I can do that.
Yeah. So we'll have those, and that will be a Nuggets episode. And I think it has a stand-up serial connection on it, so I'm pretty sure I've got something I can use with it.
So Jody says D-star equals the past, LoRaWAN equals the future. Fail forward, which we have done.
I mean, LoRaWAN seems like it's cool, potentially, and could do some stuff. But until it has the coverage of the cell network, Now, I assume you can interface it with cell network, maybe. I don't know. If you have a 4G or a 5G interface card for your LoRaWAN stuff, it would seem to me that it would be more useful. But
Well,
like I
you'd have to
said,
gateway it, yeah.
yeah, I live in a mesh-tastic island. Now, I suppose you can gateway it to your local internet, which is kind of an obvious thing too, but I can skip all
So,
this LoRaWAN stuff and just put a temperature sensor on a Pi and remote in and check the temperature whenever I want to, or have my Pi email me without all this Arduino code that's required to get this set up working.
yeah, Darklight is correct. The issue here is software. If they had a ready-to-load program that worked, this might not have been 3 episodes. You are correct.
Yes, sir.
And I think it's actually 4 or 5 episodes. I'm not 100% sure the count on this, but there's a lot of them.
I've lost track.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So speaking of Meshtastic, I have been playing with Meshtastic. I have 4 Meshtastic boards right now, and I'm able to communicate back and forth. Like I can use my computer to control the radio and send a message to my other radio that receives it, which is plugged into my Android phone. So I can send messages back and forth without, Wi-Fi, internet, or cellular communications that I didn't make myself. And by Wi-Fi internet, I mean internet over Wi-Fi, not because I'm connecting to the device either by Bluetooth or by Wi-Fi.
Right. Right.
Yes. What now? Don says. For this, the show will be like Clubhouse.
Well, so we have the M17 boards that'll be coming. So that's at least a show or two.
Oh, for sure.
I'm dying to get my hands on it so I can see how to interface it. And I know you can run, and this is why I haven't explored M17, because I don't want to buy yet another Chinese radio that I don't need. I know you can hacksaw the TYT MD380 to do M17. But again, it's another radio from a shoebox full of HTs. So I have a couple radios that I'm pretty sure will work with this M17 card. I've got an ICOM and an Elenco, and I think at least one of them should be able to interface, which would be cool. No, Chris, we do not know off the top of my head.
It's the newest one, I believe.
Yeah, I'm not sure at all, so I'll take your word for it.
Yeah.
There was something else I wanted to share. I guess that was it.
Sharing is caring, Jim.
Well, no, I just forgot. So,
Yeah, Rattlegram. Ham Till It Hurts was talking about Rattlegram. I want to try Rattlegram also.
No, I've never heard of that. What is that?
It's another ham radio text messaging thing.
Okay. And if it wasn't so expensive, I'd say the Pico APRS is probably a better solution than any of this with your phone. Because with that, you can text message through APRS, and you can, do all the APRS things. And the Pico is nice and small, fits in a pocket, runs off USB-C. Pretty cool. But they're proud of it. Somebody doing some vids on the new I don't know how to say Vera-C MCOM mode would be cool. So we could get, if Smart Jason knows how to do that, I think. Or Adam Dennis, I think, as well. I'm not sure. I have no idea.
Right.
Which would probably make a good Nuggets episode.
So, in other news, I got the Poseidon built on the Coffee and Ham radio stream last Thursday. And then yesterday I took it to a local park that's inside of a river valley. And the river valley is made of what's called trap rock out here in Wisconsin. So I'm deep in the V, I guess, can I say that on a live stream? And I was able to reach France from Wisconsin. I think the guy sounded great. It was pretty awesome. So I've got that video that I need to
Awesome.
edit and upload. And then I need to get some more parts for my FT891 from the Club Shack, and then that radio is on the for sale block. So look for that in the Toads Discord. There is a link in the chat up above there. Radio is fantastic. I love it. I just don't have room in the future of my little tiny life to carry that radio around and not use it. I want to
Right.
set that one free to someone else who can use it, and then I have an FT100D that I'm going to be playing with. And then I still have my ICOM IC7100 that I need to repair. I pulled that out of the truck on Sunday because the truck is for sale. I'm selling everything, by the way. Fire sale at Casa de Tio.
You're not talking about the new truck. You're talking about the old truck.
The old truck, the Expedition, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's fantastic. 120,000 miles, 1999, and it's got a 2-year warranty on the engine. So that ought to do really well. Obviously rust free because it came from Arizona, but y'all know that.
Right. I dropped a video today of some of my testing with the Poseidon
Mhm.
and some comparisons. The Poseidon, the current prototype build of what's going to be the Kronos, a potential prototype of the Kronos, because we're not sure what toroid we're going to use yet.
We haven't finished building it yet.
You hadn't finished building what?
The Kronos. We're still doing.
Yeah.
We're still in the testing phase, the
Yeah,
R&D phase.
Well, I think that's a car show coming up. As a matter of fact, if I'm not mistaken,
Yeah.
it's either Thursday or Saturday. I can't remember which one. This week or next. I'd have to look at the schedule again. And then because we're still playing with toroids for the Kronos, so that's I demoed some of the stuff we're looking at, and I'll be updating the Poseidon to make it another Kronos prototype with a different toroid.
Doc Brad, I don't know if Hayden has an FT100D, and he is off to work now, I think.
Oh yeah, it was 9:30 when we started, so it should be 10:30 in Oz right now, 20 to 11, something like that.
Great test bed for new antennas. Field day is interesting. If I get the next battery box project, I'm gonna run the 3-ton ham radio go box for field day off of a 400 amp hour solar generator for a couple of hours, because it's 400 watts of solar power plus 400 amp hour battery. So the answer to how long will it last is forever.
Yes.
Until the battery fails is the answer, and that could be 10 years, because that will power the 3-ton go box very easily.
That would be an interesting thing to play with. I don't think you're going to take it on many POTAs, though.
I have taken it on lots of POTAs.
What are you talking about, a 3-ton go box then?
The camper trailer, the RV?
Oh, okay. All right. I was like, I didn't know. I read something today about a solar generator that weighs 140 pounds. And I thought that's what you were talking about, because that article popped up somewhere in my line of vision around the time you were talking about some battery-powered dingus in our Discord. And I thought that was what you were referring to as the 3-ton go box. Never mind.
Yeah. I stole that from the traveling ham. He's got the 8-ton go box because he's got a fifth wheel.
Okay.
Hayden says he does not have an FT100D.
I looked at getting one of those when I was going to play with Wires X, because that radio will work on Wires X, but then I decided I didn't care that much.
So that radio on Wires X requires the HRI 200, doesn't it?
Yes, and that was the other reason I waved off on that, because I would have had to buy a dingus to go with it. And as it turns out,
Are you drunk yet?
Yeah, right. I was not talking to Ape late at night with beer involved. As it turns out, last year when I bought the 500, that freed up my 400, and I played with Wires X for a while on the 400.
Yeah.
Okay.
But if you have that
This,
HRI 200, that works on pretty much any Yaesu radio with a 6-pin port on the back, 6-pin port.
I think that's correct. I don't
Yeah.
remember for sure. And no, the HRI, I don't think the HRI works on all. I don't know. I don't know. I know it's something that the 100 will do. With the HRI, it'll do wires X. The 400 will do wires X. The 500 will do wires X, where it can be a node or a, what do they call it? A PDN, personal data node,
Yeah.
personal digital node. And then it'll do the other mode where it's like a gateway or something, I think. I don't remember. And honestly, with the advent of YSF, I don't see a lot of use for wires X because it requires a gateway to talk to YSF, and everybody and their cousins got a hotspot which does YSF and not wires X. And while they're generally the same protocol, you cannot directly connect to wires X without a bridge from a YSF side. Because
Oh, the
Yaesu
FT100.
doesn't allow it on there.
So Hamtil Hertz is saying the FTM 100D had a firmware update that made it do it natively, but the FT 100D is not the FTM 100D.
Yeah,
the
I think those are
FTM 100D is a 2-meter 70 centimeter mobile rig, and the FT 100D is a shack in the box all band all mode radio.
I thought it was only a 2-meter. Okay, the 100D.
I have turned it on once.
Okay, you know more than I do then.
Well, that was only to see it light up. That wasn't to actually do anything radio with it. It's back in the box on the
lights come on. Good radio, good.
Yeah, I don't worry about whether radios work or not. I worry about whether I want to invest the time to fix them or not.
Right. I have an FTDX 1200. I haven't really decided what I'm going to do with yet. I've
Videos.
used it. Of what? It's a radio. It radios. I did a video on testing your output power. It's a nice radio, and I've done some voice stuff on it, and it worked quite well with the Poseidon, as a matter of fact. I did some Parks on the Air contacts with it.
Nice.
To be clear, I was not in a park. I was talking to those people.
I don't think anybody in the chat
I just want to be clear about that.
By default, yeah.
And if I was going to do that, I would not carry the FTDX 1200 out to a park.
All right, folks. I think we have reached the end of the LoRa saga because we ran out of documentation, and that's a shame because it looked like it could have been something. It could have been a contender, but it wasn't. So now I got to figure out what we're doing next week. But we will do something. It will be fun. Chris is saying 73. I'm going to say 73. I'm going to hit the button. Thanks everybody for showing up. You want to show off the lower half of the antenna, the SMA connector?
Oh, no, I was just, there's a suggestion. If we run out of things to do, we could thrash our heads against this thing. Actually, I'm going to try and ping Jacob after the show, and maybe he and I can figure it out.
Chris is asking if the Raspberry Pi Zero W will work for a hotspot. It will work for a hotspot, but you want to use the Pi Star dashboard, not the WPSD version.
Correct.
Because the WPSD version is too beefy. And the Pi Zero can't handle it. The Pi Zero 2W can, but the Pi Zero can't. The Pi Zero will only do Pi Star. And it will do it slowly, but just, patience. And it'll radio fine. It will human interface hurt.
Very, very painful. Chris, honestly, you can buy a Pi Zero 2W for $15 plus $5 shipping. I buy mine you can get it from SparkFun, Adafruit. I've bought several of them from Chicago Electronic Distributors. I think it's Chicago. Frank, look that up. Production team Frank is going to Google that and paste it in the chat. I bought them from Chicago Electronics, and they're like $15 plus $5 shipping. So, I mean, they're cheap, and they're not hard to find anymore. Yeah, Ken has mentioned an RPI locator. You can find 02Ws all day. Pis are not a problem to find. And much as it pains me to say this out loud, they are useful for hotspots. But Don has made a very good point that it's kind of pointless to buy Pis anymore because for what they cost, you can buy a mini PC that has way more oomph than a Pi. So at this point in my life, I would not buy Pis anymore because I can run Linux on all sorts of cheap $100 PCs that are going to blow a Pi away. But for hotspots, yes, that's what you want because all the hats are designed really to go on the hotspots. I kind of went around the world on that. Sorry.
You did. You did.
I did. Jason, they did not mess up pizza in Chicago. That is one of the few redeeming features of Chicago besides the Cubs and pizza. Also Italian food. Because this is like a cultural desert down here with Italian food. Down here, everybody thinks that Olive Garden is Italian food. Olive Garden is to Italian food what Taco Bell is to Mexican food.
All right, Jim, you want to rant some more, or should I hit the button?
No, I'm done. I'm done. We haven't had a Molson rant on Clubhouse. They haven't done that. I felt just.
Somebody's got to, fill the void. Nature
Right.
abhors a vacuum. 73, everybody.
The spirit overtook me.
Thank
Bye,
you, thank you,
guys.
thank you.
Thank you.
Done. I hit it.